Or what if the key to happiness was not in the pursuit of more, but in the knowledge of how to enjoy less? From time immemorial, mankind has been on a relentless quest for happiness, a quest that often leads us down many paths, some paved with gold, others adorned with the dazzle of fame, and yet some others marked by the footprints of success. We are conditioned to believe that these are the avenues that will ultimately lead us to the pinnacle of happiness. But what if we've been looking in the wrong places all along? Imagine a world where happiness is not a destination but rather a state of being. A world where contentment is not found in the tangible but in the intangible. This is the world of Stoicism, a school of thought that professes the virtues of simplicity and self-control. Stoicism is not a new concept. It has its roots in ancient Greece and was practiced by some of the greatest minds in history. It is a philosophy that teaches us to shift our focus from the external to the internal, from the material to the spiritual. It urges us to find satisfaction not in the abundance of possessions, but in the richness of our minds and the depth of our character. It's a philosophy that invites us to step back from the relentless pursuit of more, to instead appreciate the simplicity of less. It encourages us to look inward, to find contentment within ourselves rather than seeking it in the external world. It's about understanding the transient nature of life and learning to accept things as they are, rather than as we wish them to be. In a world that constantly pushes us to want more, to be more, Stoicism offers a refreshing alternative. It nudges us to slow down, to appreciate the present, and to find joy in the simplest of things. It's a philosophy that champions the virtues of patience, resilience, and acceptance, and in doing so, it offers a path to a deeper, more meaningful kind of happiness. What if we told you the key to happiness lies not outside, but within us, and the ancient philosophy of Stoicism might have a thing or two to teach us about it? Stoicism, an ancient Greek philosophy, might be the answer you've been looking for. Born in the bustling heart of Athens in the 3rd century BC, Stoicism was a philosophy that captured the essence of finding tranquility in a turbulent world. Its founding father, Zeno of Citium, was a merchant who, after a shipwreck, turned to philosophy. He studied under the Cynics and eventually formulated a philosophy of his own, Stoicism. At the core of Stoicism lies a simple yet profound wisdom. The path to happiness is paved with acceptance and understanding. Stoicism, unlike other philosophies, doesn't promise a life free of trouble. Instead, it offers tools to navigate the stormy seas of life with a calm heart and a clear mind. The first principle of Stoicism emphasizes the importance of virtue, the highest form of goodness. The Stoics believed that a virtuous life was the only path to true happiness. Virtue, for them, was not about adhering to societal norms, but about living in harmony with nature and oneself. The second principle is the acceptance of things we cannot control. The Stoics divided life into two categories: things we can control and things we can't. Our thoughts, actions, and feelings fall under our control. But everything else, including the actions of others and the course of nature, is beyond our grasp. By accepting this, we free ourselves from the shackles of frustration and disappointment and open the doors to peace and serenity. The third principle is the focus on self-improvement. Stoicism is not a passive philosophy. It demands action. It calls for a continuous journey of self-improvement and personal growth. It encourages us to learn from our mistakes, to challenge our perceptions, and to strive for wisdom and understanding. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and to accept what we cannot, leading us towards a life of contentment and peace. How exactly does Stoicism lead to happiness, you might ask? Well, the answer lies in the fundamental principles of Stoicism. First and foremost, Stoicism is rooted in the pursuit of virtue. The Stoics believed that a virtuous life is the highest form of happiness. They defined virtue as wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation, and suggested that we should strive to cultivate these qualities within ourselves. This focus on self-improvement and personal growth can lead to a deep sense of satisfaction and happiness. After all, there's an inherent joy in knowing that you are becoming the best version of yourself. But how does this relate to happiness? Well, the Stoics argued that happiness isn't about external success or material wealth. Instead, it's about living in accordance with nature, acting with virtue, and finding contentment in our own actions and decisions. By focusing on our own character and actions instead of external circumstances, we can find a sense of peace and happiness that is independent of our surroundings. The second major principle of Stoicism is the acceptance of things we cannot control. Life is filled with uncertainties and events beyond our control. The Stoics believed that it's futile and distressing to worry about these uncontrollable aspects of life. Instead, they suggested that we should focus on our reactions to these events. By accepting what we cannot control and focusing on our responses, we can reduce anxiety, cultivate tranquility, and find a deep sense of peace. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation or passivity. On the contrary, it's about understanding the limits of our control, focusing our energy on what we can change and accepting the rest with tranquility. This perspective can lead to a profound sense of contentment and happiness as we learn to navigate life's ups and downs with equanimity. So Stoicism offers a path to happiness that doesn't rely on external circumstances or material possessions. It's about cultivating virtue, focusing on our actions and decisions, and accepting what we cannot control. By focusing on what's truly in our control and accepting what's not, we can find true happiness in the simplicity of life. Now let's talk about how you can implement Stoicism in your everyday life. Stoicism, at its core, is a philosophy of action, not just contemplation. So to truly embrace it, one must practice it in the routine of their daily life. But how exactly can you do that? Let's explore a few practical methods. Firstly, practice mindfulness. This doesn't necessarily mean you need to meditate for hours on end, though that could certainly be beneficial. Rather, it's about being fully present in the moment, not lost in thoughts of the past or anxieties about the future. It's about being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions, and how they impact both you and the world around you. Next, focus on self-improvement. Stoics believe that we should always strive to be the best versions of ourselves. This involves acknowledging our flaws and working diligently to overcome them. It could be as simple as reading more books, picking up a new skill, or even just being kinder to those around us. Remember, the goal is not perfection, but progress. Lastly, learn to accept the things beyond our control. This is perhaps the most challenging, yet most rewarding aspect of Stoicism. There will always be events in our life that we cannot change, no matter how much we wish we could. The weather, the actions of others, the passage of time, these are all beyond our control. Instead of allowing these things to cause us distress, we should accept them as they are. In doing so, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering and open ourselves to peace and contentment. These are but a few ways to implement Stoicism into your everyday life. Of course, like any philosophy, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It requires patience, practice, and above all, a willingness to change. Implementing these Stoic principles into your life might just be the key to finding that elusive happiness. So, are you ready to walk the Stoic path? The path to happiness, as per Stoicism, is not always easy, but it's worth it. The journey towards contentment through the lens of a Stoic often means navigating a sea of challenges. Yet it is through these challenges that we gain the most profound rewards. The first challenge is acceptance. Acceptance of what we cannot change, of the vicissitudes of life, and of the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. It's about acknowledging that we don't control the world around us, but we do control how we respond to it. This might seem daunting at first, but it's a liberating concept. Once you understand this, you are no longer a puppet in the hands of fate, but a master of your own emotions. The second challenge is detachment. Stoicism teaches us to detach from our desires and fears, to not be ruled by them. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions, but rather understanding them, observing them, and not allowing them to dictate our actions. This may seem counterintuitive in a world that often values passionate reaction, yet it's actually empowering. It allows us to make decisions based on reason, not on fleeting feelings. Now let's talk about the rewards. The practice of Stoicism offers a sense of calm and serenity that is rare in this fast-paced world. It provides a mental armor against the ups and downs of life, a resilience that is priceless. It encourages an appreciation for the present moment, for the simple pleasures of life that we often take for granted. It's a perspective that transforms not only how we see the world, but also how we see ourselves. It's time to start your journey. Embrace the principles of Stoicism. Start with small steps. Practice acceptance today. Practice detachment tomorrow. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. And every step you take towards Stoicism is a step towards a more peaceful, more contented you. Remember, true happiness isn't about having more, it's about being content with less. And Stoicism might just be the guide you need on this journey.